about. Ray Fisher v. Walter Hamada, and I do not know at what point it just went way the fuck left. And as you guys know, on the road to Snyder Cut, I wanted to do a lot more trending information about it, and I fell short completely for doing that. But what I want to do is actually start like getting into what's actually going on with Ray Fisher now, trying to like brush up on what's going on and see exactly what is how far this is going to go and how this is going to affect anything moving forward for guys like us that are actually interested in DC, the DCEU universe, and seeing how much further that it can go with that. That being said, let's get into this article from Comic Book Movie News. Excuse me, actually, this story is going to be brought to you from Deadline, actually. And it reads, the headline is, Justice League star Ray Fisher slams Walter Hamada. Cyborg actor will not participate in any films associated with DC boss. Justice League actor Ray Fisher will not let down his bullhorn in his ire against Warner Brothers, in particular DC Films president Walter Hamada. The Cyborg actor, who had Warner Media dive into investigation about the alleged misconduct of Joss Whedon during reshoots of Justice League, tweets today, Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. He lies, and WBPR failed September 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I will not participate in any production associated with him. On the evening of December 11th, Warner Media released a vague, glib statement that their investigation connected to Justice League has concluded and remedial action has been taken. No other details were provided, but even Warner Brothers motion picture executives at the time were unaware the decision was coming down. In regards to films that Fisher is involved with, as far as DC goes, the actor reprises his cyborg role in the extra shoots of Zack Snyder's Justice League 10-episode cut, which is hitting HBO Max next year. The actor also participated in the DC fandom panel for the feature recut. Fisher, per Warner Brothers, was in talks to return as Cyborg in the upcoming DC feature The Flash. Sounds like that's not happening now. Fisher's firestorm against Warner Media began on July 1st when he tweeted Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Accountability over entertainment. It's important to note here during Fisher's tirade against the studio that Hamada was not in charge of DC feature production, nor did he have any oversight on Justice League when Fisher and Whedon were working together. Hamada was an executive at New Line during that time. On the evening of Friday Labor Day weekend, Warner Media dropped a lengthy statement, which is not typical for the studio to do in crisis situations, firing back at Fisher, saying, in July, Ray Fisher's representatives asked DC Films president Walter Hamada to talk to Mr. Fisher about his concerns during production of Justice League. The two had previously spoken when Mr. Hamada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers' upcoming Flash movie, together with other members of the Justice League. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he'd had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of the production process and that a film's writer/director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. Notably, Mr. Hamada also told Mr. Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they could conduct an investigation. At no time did Mr. Hamada ever throw anyone under the bus, as Mr. Fisher has falsely claimed, or rendered any judgments about the Justice League production, in which Mr. Hamada had no involvement since filming occurred before Mr. Hamada was elevated to his current position. While Mr. Fisher has never alleged any actionable misconduct against him, Warner Media nonetheless initiated an investigation into the concerns he's raised about his character's portrayal. Still not satisfied, Mr. Fisher insisted that Warner Media hire an independent third-party investigator. This investigator has attempted multiple times to meet with Mr. Fisher to discuss his concerns but to date, Mr. Fisher has declined to speak to the investigator. Warner Brothers remains committed to accountability and to the well-being of every cast and crew member on each of its productions. It also remains committed to investigating any specific and credible allegation of misconduct which thus far Mr. Fisher has failed to provide. In subsequent Forbes interview in October, Fisher indicated that racial issues played part in the decisions that led to his claimed mistreatment on the set of Justice League. Justice League stars such as Aquaman's Jason Momoa sided with Fisher's crusade on social media against the studio as the actor called for an investigation. Wonder Woman star and fellow Justice League actress Gal Gadot told the Los Angeles Times that she didn't shoot with Fisher, but I had my own experience with him, Whedon, which wasn't the best one, but I took care of it there, and when it happened, I took it to higher ups, and they took care of it. But I'm happy for Ray to go up and say his truth. Warner Media did not have a news statement in response to Fisher's news statements today against Hamada. Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. His lies and WBPR's failed September 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigations. I will not participate in any production associated with him. So, there's a whole lot to unpack, and we shall jump into that in a little bit because there's a lot to be said. We know what Gal Gadot was talking about in terms of the whole scene where the Flash lays on top of her. That turned out to be a body double from what I understand. And rightfully so, because it's an awkward thing to request, especially from how the series started to where you're going now with this weird comedic cheesy, it's slapstick. We're kind of beyond it. That's something that I could have seen in the 90s, and we're kind of beyond that with the level of sophistication that we've gotten with these films. If you wanted to do that, you should have did that in a universe that supported that type of slapstick comedy. But at the same time, I'm not mad. You wanted a Joss Whedon-esque film, and this is what you've gotten. He tried to give you an Avengers version of it, and it just didn't work for this universe, especially for how it was set up. And already he was working within the bare bones of what was already there. That being said, I'm not exactly abreast enough on the accusations on Joss Whedon. I know that there's enough there that it's to raise concerns. I mean, when you got other actors, and we got one confirmed in Gal Gadot saying something, and for a known outspoken actor such as Jason Momoa to actually chime in, I don't think it's also just to support a fellow actor. But I also got to say this with Ray. If they actually got the third party person you asked for, even if you felt like it was shifty, show up and see it all the way through if this is the hill you're willing to die on. To go at Walter Hamada, who wasn't even there during the research shoots, I think it's a gross misdirection of blame. I'm not behind the scenes, so only you would know a lot further. I did, however, want to make a video directly shot specifically for you, and maybe I could add that on the end of this, specifically saying that, well, I say it at the end, at the end of this, so I could get my full thought. This seems just a little off balance to level it at Walter Hamada, unless you're saying that he's actively suppressing a lot more information, even though he had nothing to do with its inception. It has everything to do with its suppression. That could be true. But you also have to understand that Walter Hamada is in a very weird place. One, he's got people over him pushing forward because they brought him up there to redirect the ship, and now he has overseers saying, nah, go back to what was done before. This is a lot for him to have to deal with. I'm just saying, if I may play devil's advocate. So for him to have to plan to this whole new change, that Aquaman is obviously a little bit brighter. A lot more of Jeff Johns' fingerprint is through it. That they have to go back now. But mind you, it's no one's fault. The pandemic happened. It's a lot going on. I just think that this was not the most appropriate time to level this type of war. Part of the strategies of war is choosing your battles wisely. I didn't think it was the most appropriate to do that right now. Seeming how that you have the Justice League Snyder Cut is finally being released. I thought it was I felt a little bit like Ray Fisher might have surfed the progression of that and said, all right, now let's go push this forward, especially with everything that's going on with what's going on in the world right now. It seemed the most appropriate time to actually go do that, and I get it. But you got a second chance with this film. Let's not cast this weird shadow over the possibilities that this film can do, not only just for your career. Now, make no mistake, I do also understand there's another part to this, but I'll save that for a little when I speak a little bit more direct to Ray Fisher. I just want to talk directly to the article. And even the article, as much as it tries to say that they try to reach out to Ray Fisher, you didn't show up for the investigation, but they're actually giving you the investigation. Now, it could be a veneer, it could be bullshit, but they're giving you that. Now, in terms of that hit piece, I'm going to look into the hit piece to figure out what that really was about, because I think I remember it, but I have to go back and reread and figure out where that's coming from. I just feel like he should have pulled back a little bit on. He could have leveled the investigation. Gal Gadot, you already had like on the record what happened with Gal Gadot, but she did it behind the scenes. And even when she discusses it in quote, she handles it a lot more with a lot more professionalism than Ray is. Ray is going directly at people, and I think that is not the way to do it. Even if you're going to be aggressive, there's a way to do this like chess. I understand you want to ride out and but there's a way to do it. The professionalism needs to sustain itself, especially when you're doing this right behind what you're doing for your guy. And I know you rock with Snyder, so his film is finally going off, and that's good. I think you could have pulled back on making this the new story, but I also understand if there is a legitimacy claim to this, why you would use this opportunity right now to do it while eyes are on this film. And it's a conundrum, because now that you used it, go all the way. Don't conflate it with you not showing up for certain investigations, things of that nature. That's not the way to go. And I'm not exactly sure why is it that you made it a point to put Hamada's name on it. It must be a lot in that September 4th, I believe it's a date article that I gotta look into a lot further. That withstanding, if we could just, I would like to make a direct, and I'm gonna probably cut this and even add this one to you. So if this actually reaches out to you, brother, I hope you see it. One, I'm glad to see you back in part of the Justice League family, especially with the Snyder Cut, and they're gonna give you back your story. You were supposed to be the heart and soul of the film, Ray. I get it. So make no mistake, I'm actually excited to actually see your portrayal, because I really think that you have a lot to give to this character. That being said, I'm a firm believer in playing chess, not checkers, and making this work to your advantage, but you're already here. I kind of wish you would have took your time with this one and not so soon right behind it. Now, I'm not going to just say it because it's easy for me to say, because I was such a part of the Snyder Cut fandom from its beginning inception and pushing it on my channel, that I'd be full of it to say that part of my reasoning is for this, but it's not full of it to not say that part of my reasoning is for the film. Part of it is, but not really, because once you win a battle, you don't come right afterwards unless that's the strategy you want to take. I would not have taken it. I'd have waited for the film, us to get closer to it, talked about the Justice League, went and did that behind the scenes before I would have pushed it out there. Then when you would have had a decision whether or not to make it public, I would have taken my time. If I was going to go public, I wouldn't have done it that kind of way. I would have tried to still put a lot more professionalism around it. I went to Walter Amada. I understand he wasn't there, and I'm not trying to take nothing away from him, but I do think that it's critical, especially in this day and time, that we actually address it now so we don't have these type of issues moving forward, because I love the franchise. You know, I want to be part of it. You know what I mean? Just let them know that you're not trying to make it personal, but this needs to be addressed. And even if, and they wouldn't have liked you doing it like that, but if you would have brought it to them first, and I'm sure you did before it got public, but I hope you did. But if you would have brought it back behind the scenes, handled the business, done it with professionalism, said, see if this is something that we can alleviate from behind the scenes. It happened already, cool. Let's just get an investigation going. I want this to be dealt with and see what happens. Now, even if it was a BS smokescreen, you should have seen the writing on the wall that no one wants any more bad press around Justice League. So you would have had to either take it or and go, or major deals first to be a part of the franchise, but also unless they force you to do a gag order, then raise it up again once you close a lot of these deals, or while you have that as a bargaining chip to say, yo, I'm not satisfied with the investigation. I feel like there should be more to be done. And if they don't find anything, yo, just because an investigation isn't gonna always find you to stand out as the right one, it might not. There may be more to it. And then when you sit down with your team and you figure it out, you have to ask yourself, is this the battle in which the hill you want to die on? Then figure it out. And I think unless they called you straight up N-word, like, I really got to know what is this specifically Josh Whedon racially did to you. If it's something ambiguous and wear a dress, or you didn't want to wear the dress and it was a done deal, and it's like, why don't brother gotta always be asked to wear a dress? I get it. I wouldn't keep pushing it. Like, they investigated, you didn't wear it, you didn't do it, so charge it to the game and move forward with this. But now you got this in your back pocket, and to let it be known, like, look, it's not going no further. I get it. Boom, you ain't find nothing, cool. If you guys do it again and you feel like you need to make it public, then that's on you. But at least you got to play the game. Don't just go and empty the whole clip at the world, because this might not go out the way you want it professionally. And I don't want to see a guy that had an opportunity in a blockbuster film and the redemption story of it, that the end, this is how your story ends, that you will no longer be part of the Justice League, part of the WB franchise and family. I don't want to see that to happen. You better be glad that you have AT&T and they may override anything Walter Amada may do. But if, let's say, you get a chance to sit back down, make this right. Make this a right situation, especially for yourself, brother. Now, if they straight up call you the N-word and it's some real stuff, like some real stuff that, yo, I'm with it, like 10 toes down, like, nah, F it. It is what it is. We got dignity. We got dignity on this side. This melanin is coming with dignity. It's coming with a whole level of dignity that people are not going to be able to understand moving forward. We're going to push the line on that and put respect on that. Yeah. But if it's nothing, if it's not that, know when to pull back. Know when to drop olive branches. And at the end of the day, Walter Amada had nothing to do with it. So this, I think you can fix that. He had nothing to do with it. Now, whatever he's doing behind the scenes to hide it, I hope it's the right hill you choose to have that battle on. Because I'll be honest with you, I just don't think that this is gonna work right for you. Right for what you guys have finally, and you're part of this push to get the Snyder Cut out there. I just don't think that this is gonna work right for you. You know what I mean? And I just hope that if you even have any moment to sit down, bro, and just check it out, and like brother to brother, like, you know what I mean? Like I said, if it's real like that, like go for it. Like 10 toes down, I'm with it. You know what I mean? Because it is what it is. But it better be directly clear. Racism, nothing ambiguous in innuendos, and they ask you to do something and you didn't do it and you let it go, then they ask you to do something that was inappropriate and you wasn't with it and then force you or try to choke you into doing it. Well, then leave it at that. It's behind the scene. It might be a weirdo move, but I'm not with it. Boom. I'm not doing that. And if they let it go, you didn't do it, you didn't do it. If you had issues with how they was moving the character along, unless they didn't have you be like them just calling the character N-word all throughout the film, then you be all right with it. Now, if he said something, and I read an article about you took inspiration from Trayvon on one scene. I'm not exactly sure how accurate that is. But let's just say that there was a comment behind the scenes swirling around it, because I'm just now thinking maybe that it was something that Josh Whedon might have said when you wanted to do something to commemorate or show something, and he might have said something in passing. You know what? Unless he's out here saying the N-word, this, that, and the third. If he said something in passing that was slick, yeah, have them investigate it. If they can't go no further, and if you know it could be just boiled away to he said, she said, it's not enough grounds for anything, then you know what? You put it out there, you know what I mean, and just keep it moving. You put it out there, it can't happen again. You got a new regime, everything is working for you. The new regime is going. As long as Snyder Cut falls into place, you're gonna be back in play as a major player, in terms of being one of the major players in the Justice League, and we can see new stories, and then you'll have a lot more cachet to have a lot more input in how the character can be portrayed moving forward, and that's how you can win with the character. But this is just what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think out there, and my brother Ray, please let me know, even if you add me and say, yo, you listen to it, that be what's up. And I'm hoping I say something that makes sense. I mean, you got all the cards. You know the cards as whole, all the cards that's face down. You only know what's in your hand, so you know a lot more behind the scenes than we ever could. I'm just sitting watching the poker game from this side, and I'm just hoping that you playing your hand properly. You know what I mean? Because this could actually explode in your face the worst kind of way, and it might not even be worth it for something that can be seen as very ambiguous. Now, if he, like I said again, if he's calling you some straight up N-words, this, that, some real, like there's no denying it. I'm there with you. I get it. If he says something that's, you can't really quantitatively, argue and say he said this, that, and the third, then if I were you, pick your battles wisely. Move from that. Like have the investigation. You did your part, and even if it's a shit show, and they say they found nothing, then you come back and say, I don't know how that I lost the investigation. I'm glad that at least Walter Hamada was willing to entertain it. I still feel a way about it, but I went through the proper protocols as opposed to making a scene. Then, even if I'm gonna expose it, I'll do it with a certain level of dignity, that it doesn't seem like I'm going out of my way to berate and blame people that had absolutely nothing to do with it. With what actually happened. Like, I shouldn't hear Ray beefing with Hamada over Josh Whedon if Josh Whedon is actually the culprit. If anything that Hamada could be doing is, if he's hiding it, what makes him no better, but at the same time you can see why. It's bigger than him. It's business. A lot's going on. And I just got here. I just rewriting this shit from what people said that they don't like. Now we hit COVID. Now people want us to go back to something that I was brought up here to move us past, and now I got my bosses is coming over me saying, "Nah, this is the new information. We're going back to that. How can we take what we once have and move it forward?" And now he has to go back, and it's I don't know. I just like, if I could be devil's advocate, if it's more about him trying to hide a lot of stuff, because he has to play this business game too. There's a lot going on, and the last thing they need is this. This is a PR nightmare, and all they can do is try to quell the flames while smiling at everyone. And this public beef is just not going to help any, and I don't want to see your career go out like that if it wasn't worth it. If you find it worth it, brother, then I will believe that it is just that serious. But if it's not that serious, brother, I really feel like you can set the bed for something that can be salvageable in the future. And how you go about doing that, just acknowledging that, yo, look, I went too hard at Hamada, because to be honest, I should be riding on Josh Whedon. And that's just unequivocal. You go at the person that went at you. And then you be like, how I felt that Hamada did. And maybe sit down and have a real conversation with them. So maybe you guys can really connect, so that it doesn't seem like it's a PR line. Maybe you just got to see it from his perspective for why he chose to make these type of moves. And you got to remember, you doing what you did was I don't think anyone seen it coming that you was gonna come this hard the way you did. But at the end of the day, I like to believe that you spoke behind the scenes first, and if so, I could respect that. But let's moving right along. Like I said, I do wish you a lot of luck in your future endeavors, and I do hope that this will actually go away, and eventually you'll be back to the family, if you will, the WB family, and back to the DC family. And moving forward, we can actually do some real compelling stories for Cyborg, because I do believe that there's a lot that can be done, and a lot that should be done for a character that's can be a lot more interesting if you would actually do some real in-depth writing. That being said, you guys let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments below. And it leads you